control. I have control. I have control. Execute.
I think this is the first time we actually got the intro music to play.
I think you're right.
Well, welcome everybody to the Berm Limits podcast live
with special guest Mr. Gary Marr and Mr. Aaron Little.
Two of my absolute favorite people on earth, like legit, no question. And two guys that have influenced me greatly in the way that I teach as well.
He's growing on me.
Who?
Gary.
Oh, he does that
like mold,
like herpes.
I think there's a salve you can get for that.
I don't know.
We got some people watching. We got 7 people watching. One of which is Mr. Evan from Radio Made Easy.
Hello, Evan.
Hello, sir. It's great to see you. Thank you all for joining tonight. We have a special topic. Just to set things up this morning, Max and I were going over our notes, figuring out, hey, what are we going to do tonight on our recording? And I was like, you know what? Let's forget everything we had planned out, all the stories we had written that we were going to share this week. And I'm like, there's something important that we need to talk about. And that's all the stuff that's going to be happening, probably starting. Well, it's already started. But going through tomorrow and the upcoming weeks and the second summer of love.
Is it the second, the third, the fourth?
I don't know.
There's been a few of them.
Happens every year. Yeah. But so we have, with pulling that together, I reached out to the Facebook community. They're like, and I was like, hey, what subject matter experts do we have on riots? And of course, I thought, well, if I have one friend that would probably like to start a riot,
right,
I'll get Gary on here. And then a few people said, well, why don't you try and get Aaron? And I was like, well, yeah, of course I would want to try and get Aaron, but how am I going to get him on short notice? And then apparently all I needed to do was text him.
Your powers of persuasion.
I did move a couple of things around.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, I am honored. Mainly because you're like, out of all the people in our circles that we've heard talk on this subject, yours, like you've been there. You've gone through it a bunch. In some of the personal protection stuff and just the way you think about it. I thought bringing both of you guys on here would be awesome to kind of try and pull it together so that we can have a constructive and informative, topic tonight for everybody to really kind of learn something and kind of think about things. So,
and you did a great job of picking 2 people who are not opinionated at all.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to have to lead you guys by the collar around tonight and just try and pull everything that I can.
Okay, we're not burning the Capitol down. If we don't do that, what's next?
We got a bunch of people jumping in already. Oh, we got Bree.
Yeah. Hello, wife.
Scott with 1 T. Another alumni of our it's not Fight to Live, or no, that's the new name, right? Fight to Live, but
we can still call
full
it
contact gunfighting. When it was here now. Yep. Scott was in that class with us. Crystal, hello. RJ,
Mr. Jonathan Aldrich.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Oh my! So we got a good group of people tonight. 15 people watching. That's awesome. But yeah, so we're going to get into the discussion topic, obviously, but we like to start the podcast with at least an update.
Yep.
For the Bulletin community, of all the trainers out there that are listening through Bulletin, because that's what we are first and foremost as a company, to advocate for training. So we have a quick update. We got some classes coming up, some of which are probably relevant to at least some of the guys that are on this podcast right now. Because there's a ton of stuff happening this summer around the country, really. So let me pull up my notes, which have mysteriously disappeared. There they are. Okay. So we have, you know what? I'm terrible at this. Hold on. I have to pause for a second because before we go on to the Bulletin community updates, we have to at least first thank our sponsor, Midwest Industries.
Yes. And tonight we are going to be doing a giveaway of a combat rail.
Yes.
So please enter. There's a doodle thing that Michael put up for you to click on.
Mhm.
It is important that if you want to win the thing, when the drawing happens, you have to be on when it happens. Again, you have to be on the live stream when it happens, when the giveaway happens. But guys, like everyone I know that is serious about this stuff has one of those on their rifles. I believe there's a guy on here that even spec'd out that rail for his personal signature rifle.
Yes.
I think so.
The
I
Tremis
almost brought that
signature
up and put it in the background, but you know how YouTube is.
Oh yeah,
they're gay.
That's probably a smart move.
But yeah, guys, you can't go wrong with any of Midwest rails. They are fantastic, and it is awesome for Pete to sponsor us and have us give the opportunity for other people to get good gear in their hands.
Yeah, all those guys over there at Midwest are amazing. So definitely click the link, enter your information, and then you get to choose a Midwest combat rail of your choice. So any size that you want, as long as it's within stock, I guess. So Pete said, yeah, just tell somebody if they win that they can pick a size. So
Right.
That guy, he's the best.
He is awesome.
So hopefully the link has gone through.
Yeah, guys, let us know if the link isn't clickable and we'll do something.
So yeah, so that's the it looks like it's in the chat. Okay. That is our sponsor for this evening, makers of American Badassery, Midwest Industries.
Yes.
The sponsor of all Berm Limits Live.
They are the live sponsors.
Yep. So okay. Thanks to them, we can get the word out about training because they're huge supporters of the training community and we are advocates. So what do we got coming up, Max?
So in June to 21st and 22nd, Terminal Outcomes, Mr. Buell
Collins, a new addition to the Bulletin community.
Which is awesome.
He just started his training company, I think, within the last month. I don't know if he's on tonight, but man, I cannot wait to get out to the Las Vegas area and take one of his classes.
In the middle of summer.
Yeah, maybe not in the middle of the summer to go to Las Vegas.
And we have a class that you're going to be taking, Well-Regulated Shotgun. That's a new addition to the Bulletin Network.
So Armed Peacemaker, another new addition to Bulletin within the last 6 or 7 months. I have not gotten to train with them yet. I met the owner, Tom, at the fighting rifle and fighting pistol class last year that we hosted for Tactical Response. He was one of the students in the class, and he joined up on Bulletin after those. So I found out there's a day coming up where I can be in his well-regulated shotgun class. Yep. So I'm popping out there, which is the day before another event that we're doing here in June.
Yes. 0 Point Range Day and Barbecue. If you have an odd gun, a stupid gun, a gun that you're embarrassed by, bring it out and shoot it.
Yes. So we're doing a fun day. It's kind of like an open house for 0 Point training. Come out.
Any 1911 will do.
Yeah, I mean that's embarrassing enough. I think Gary's even bringing out. Well, it's not a 1911. What are you bringing?
But I'm also bringing a high power.
Oh, I'm actually really excited about a high power. I have not shot one yet.
Are we going to allow 320s to be shot, or are we just going to throw them
that
in the
might
grass?
Be a safety violation.
What if we throw it over the berm on the backside of the berm and just see what happens?
I don't know. I actually know a guy who did that once with one of my with my Sig P320. He's on this podcast right now. It was for the Tremis official approved pistols list. I think it was on it at the time.
And then he turned it into a hand grenade?
It was a while ago, though.
Oh, okay.
It definitely got chucked over a berm or something. So yeah, we're gonna have a fun day. That's on June 29th. So anybody out in the Sugarloaf, Pennsylvania area should definitely come out for that. It's gonna be a good day.
I hear the 0 Point guys are pretty cool.
He's all right.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, he's
a ginger. I mean,
yeah. So then we have some awesome stuff coming up in July. And by the way, everybody, this is by no means the entire list.
No, these are just highlights and interesting classes, different classes, new additions to the Bulletin Network.
Yeah.
Don't take it as the idea that like this is all that's out
Yeah,
there.
things that caught our eye,
Yeah.
the highlights, if you will, over the next few months. Because if you go on there, there's I think currently over 90 events. Last I checked, that you can sign up for or go to on Bulletin.
It's insane.
Um,
So on July 6th, Trimmet Dam is nod fishing. Do you just put nods on and go to a creek and
Something like that.
dip a pole, or
I would,
yeah?
I would totally be down for that. We almost did nod
I have done
kayaking once.
kayaking.
I know. Apparently they are waterproof. I don't want
I
to
did
test
not
that,
submerge them
but
to find out.
Isn't that the first thing you do? You just get on the kayak and immediately
Well,
just
I
kick
just
them off. And
assumed I would be upside down at some point.
Hey, now I'm upside down regularly.
well, not all of us can be acrobats.
Well, it's true. So what is nod fishing,
so-
Mr. Marr?
FISH is the acronym for fighting in someone's house. Sometimes that's your house. And the nod version is, we do it under nods. There's a series of fish
Nice.
classes, and that is the 6th one in the series. So,
Isn't it the 7th?
Well,
If
kind of, because there's a 3.5 that came later, and
Yeah.
it fit after 3, so I just had to stick it in there. Sonny told me it would be fine to name it that way, so
yeah.
Look at the comment.
speaking of
Yeah.
fish, there's a fish
So,
free tomorrow.
Sorry.
yes, there is. So anybody out there not doing anything tomorrow should be up in Scranton at
Which
Fish
is-
3.
which is white lights.
and Fish 3
Yep.
white lights. And it's got some force on
There'll
force
be
stuff
no
in it
force
too.
on force. It's all force on paper. We're still sorting out force on force gear since UTM went retarded.
Right. Awesome. So we got that coming up. Tomorrow we got you're doing fish all the time, which I think is awesome. It's one of my favorite classes to be there for, and the students love it. So it's a good time. So anybody who hasn't taken the fish series classes yet, you should
You're
get
wrong.
on it. Yeah, you're just wrong.
You're wrong.
So also coming up in July, we have Mr. Sonny Pazikis with the Shooter Fighter Matrix 2.
If you have not taken Shooter Fighter Matrix, take that class.
I have not
is
yet.
Awesome.
Yep.
It is awesome.
He's holding that one out in New London, Ohio. You should check that out. It's kind of one of his core classes.
Yep.
I think that's his pistol class, correct?
Yes.
Shooter Fighter Matrix.
Kind of.
Kind of. I mean, I can never. He got trying to nail down
There-
Sonny to a single topic
No.
in any
No.
class is hard.
In Shooter Fighter 1, there's pistol stuff, there's de-escalation instruction, there's philosophy, it's everything. I don't know. You can't. I don't think every class I've been in you can't like put your nail on like this is what it
Yeah.
was. So
I could tell you that it probably has a lot of movement.
oh
advice
my
in
god,
it,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Also in July, we have our good friend at Definitive Training Solutions, Zach Bush.
Yeah, baby.
He will be doing entangled gunfighting in 2 locations
Yep.
in 2 days.
Yes.
That man is a machine and he is crazy, but he will be holding entangled gunfighting in Corbin, Kentucky on the 19th of July. And then he's driving to Brookville, I guess, that night to hold entangled gunfighting the next day in Brookville,
Which
Pennsylvania.
I will be at. I'm looking. Is Corbin? Is that Tap
Yes.
Rack?
It is.
Yes.
It might be Tap Rack. I thought,
Is it? Okay.
yeah. So that would make sense because I don't think there's anything
Hey,
else
now.
in Kentucky. I mean, it's a big state.
Hey.
Aaron, have you gotten out to Tap
Unfortunately, I
Rack
have
Ridge
not.
yet?
I've had some messages from the awesome people that run the facility inviting me down, and I've just not been able to make
Yes.
it happen yet. But I've heard nothing but very good
Well,
things.
We got to meet Rob and Bobo at the muster last year, and I gotta say everything that they've been doing the past year in terms of like getting people out there and just getting classes there. They are
they
awesome
have
people.
they have
So,
been to Lexington
yeah,
to train with
and
me. They are good people.
Oh,
and they're
awesome.
doing a wonderful thing. And what gets me is I'm not as active on social media as I used to be. And so most of the time when I see something, it's I'm seeing the after effect that it's already happened. But I see people I miss and care about, like Gary and Jay and Don Edwards and Calvin and these people who are teaching there. And then I see it after the fact. And I'm like, I'm an hour and a half away. I could drive down and have lunch.
Yep. And they have put a ton of work into that facility between putting in force on force areas, redoing entrance to it by laying all this concrete so they can get up the hill, to cabins. I mean, they have done an amazing amount of work at that facility. So it is awesome to see.
Yeah. So, and there's a bunch of stuff happening at Tap Rack Ridge. So anybody looking to see what's going on there, they're listing all their classes on Bulletin, even if it's trainers that aren't necessarily on Bulletin. So definitely check them out and check out their website too. Zach's doing some entangled gunfighting 2 days in a row. Zach, I saw you pop in here. Hello, sir. You are crazy. I love your hustle, man. And then we get into August. And August is a storm of training activity in our area.
Yes.
Mainly because of that guy, the guy on
the pirate at the bottom of the screen,
the short guy with the scraggly beard, who changed his background to blue for us. Gary is the creator, the impetus of the All Hands Muster, which is happening on August 2nd and 3rd.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
In Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. I think it would take about another 10 minutes to list all the trainers that are probably coming to this, because it keeps growing.
There's always room for more. Hint, hint.
Yes. It would be awesome to have somebody, I don't know, who can tumble, do acrobatics, and, puts on a pretty good, combatives class.
We only knew a guy.
If only there was.
If only we knew a guy. If only there was an amazing trainer that we love.
Be careful with that amazing part.
Well, I mean, amazing does classify like the stunts that you can pull with like aeronautics.
That's Tim Morris's world.
Who is also coming to the muster.
Oh, how fantastic is that?
Yeah, we keep getting a growing group of people from the tax force
the Misfit Toys
circles every year.
Yep.
The Misfit Toys.
Yes.
So we got the muster coming up. Awesome probably over a dozen, right, Gary? Yeah, easily over a dozen.
Yeah,
great names.
Bang for your buck. You can't touch it.
Pretty much everybody we've talked about on this podcast so far, plus a dozen more probably. Over 2 days, live fire, lecture, probably some combative stuff, a mix of everything. We don't know what it is yet. The trainers get to choose, but it's a sampling and a really great event that with vendors and giveaways, and it's a great time. So you should all come out to the All Hands Muster August 2nd and 3rd. You can find the link on Bulletin, obviously, but you could also check it out through Tremis Dynamics. And then around the muster every year, there's always classes because, hey, we'll get the trainers out there and, they can line up some classes either before and after. And we got Sonny coming out for AK Knowledge, right?
And he's doing that force on force thing too before the muster, I think.
Oh, did I miss one before the muster?
He's got like a 3 or 4 day thing again, right?
3 day, whatever he calls his force on force. Yeah.
Oh, Violence Uncensored.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, so I'm terrible. That one I may have to make sure that one gets on Bulletin. That wasn't on there this morning, so definitely check out Sonny's website, Forward Training Concepts, for Violence Uncensored. That'll be before the muster, and then AK Knowledge will be right after on the 4th and 5th.
Yep.
And then right after AK Knowledge, we have Bedroom Bedside Bullshit
with Mr. Tom Hollaby of Ashigura Defense.
Right. I'm super excited. Get to meet Tom for the first time at the muster this year. He's coming out here. We got his class coming. I believe that's a home defense related class.
I would assume.
Mm-hmm. I bet you there's going to be maybe some topics on slings in that class.
There might be some kind of a discussion about slings.
There might be a discussion about slings. And then there's a lot of other stuff happening in August, but the one that I would definitely want to call out, one that I'm super excited for, and I will absolutely be at October 23rd through the 24th. Oh, sorry, not October. August 23rd through 24th. Active shooter from Definitive Training Solutions.
Yeah, baby.
Out in Mount Carmel, PA. By the way, there are only 4 slots left. So if anybody listening to this is interested at all, it is filling up very quickly. And if you sleep on it, you will not get into this class. Zach is incredibly passionate about the active shooter stuff as a school resource officer. He takes it very seriously. He's very knowledgeable on it. We've chatted with him a bunch on that topic. So I've been waiting for this class for a long time. So I think that'll be a really great one to get into. So definitely, get on it if you have interest in learning how to save children's lives. And if you're not interested in that, I guess that's fine.
This probably ain't the right podcast.
Not really, but
yeah, you might want to just change the channel.
And then Mr. Jonathan Aldridge is bringing gas mask operations on August 30th.
Announced yesterday or the day before.
Jonathan, you're supposed to do it before the Summer of Love, not at the end of the Summer of Love.
Hey, we're all being topical, right? We're doing this podcast tonight based off of current events. Jonathan had a class in his back pocket. He heard, maybe some people want to hear some stuff about gas masks. So he got on it and scheduled a class out in Brookville. So I'm going to try and make it out to that one. Although I don't know if I want to shave my face for it.
I'm not shaving my face for it.
Well, you got to if you want to use a gas mask.
I won't be there because I got 2 classes that day here. But I do have a trick. Maybe we'll mention it tonight about the beard and the gas mask.
Yes. So I think there might be some good tips tonight. And by the way, if anybody is interested in hearing another podcast discussion with some relevant topics, Reed Lindauer, another trainer on the Bulletin Network for rapid response training. He's been chatting a bunch about riot and or protest related content, including a whole discussion the other night on gas masks, which was really good. So you should definitely check him out as well. But yes, we have, like I said, ton of stuff.
This is a small portion of what is on upcoming for the summer.
This is just the next 90 days.
Like it is. If you go on there and you put in your zip code and you do a search, there is so much stuff going on. It is awesome.
Yeah. So go on bulletin.net, check out the classes that are listed on there. And there's a ton. Find what works for you, for your schedule, for your location. We have stuff all around the country. Love to see that we have classes all the way out, like from the East Coast all the way to Centralia, Washington, where Tom is out there. And now, more classes being posted in the Las Vegas area. So it's a bunch of good people out there.
And if you can support the facilities like Brookville and Tap Rack and, what we're doing with Sugarloaf and everything else, because by you coming to these classes and you supporting the trainers, they can get more students, which means it just means more training is going to be coming. So the more that you do that way, the more you're going to see come in your neighborhood.
All right. So I'm posting one last time on here. Make sure you fill out the form. We're going to go into the giveaway. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 entries right now. If Scott with 1T is still in here, you're excluded. Ha! You won the last one, buddy.
Ha!
We got people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 in there. Give you 2 more minutes to kind of jump in on that, and then we're going to do our giveaway, and then we'll get into our topic for this evening of riots and surviving them
and avoiding them.
I think the flamethrower idea that someone threw out was a wonderful idea. I mean, if you have a flamethrower, I don't care if it's cops or if it's rioters, they're going to leave you alone.
You would hope.
If not, then set them on fire.
I mean, I guess that could be a strategy. I mean, sounds more like a Gary Marr strategy for dealing with riots, honestly. Fire fixes all problems, right?
Exactly. I mean, one way or the other.
I mean, even so this is a neither here nor there, but did you know that one of the most effective ways to deal with fire is more fire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You burn out the oxygen.
Exactly.
Fire goes
out. Fire fixes everything.
Right. I learned that when I was 5.
Oh, we got a couple more entries.
Oh, we got a bunch more
1,
entries.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 8 people in there.
Nice.
All right. Act now or forever hold your peace, everybody.
There's 15 of you on.
We're getting into the last minute call. I'm putting them into the wheel of names.
Apparently, people don't like free stuff.
Well, you know, some do.
Yeah.
All right. We got Josh, Evan, Adam, Jonathan, David, Robert, Turtle, and Joe. I got those names in the giveaway.
Nice.
All right. I don't see anybody saying that they can't make it work.
Yep.
No.
Forever hold and speak your piece and stuff.
Oh, we lost Gary.
We lost
though.
Gary.
He's
running to enter.
Yeah. He's like, I got to get another Midwest Industries rail.
I need another one. If I have it, I can build another rifle.
Shinde just jumped in there.
Ah.
Look at him. He's a dealer for Midwest
He is.
Industries. Also a great supporter of this podcast.
Yes.
The non-live version.
Yes.
He's one of our channel sponsors.
Yes.
With Five Rivers Armament, the best gun shop this side of the Mississippi, or any side of it, really, in my opinion.
Yeah. If you need something, reach out to him, guys. He's awesome.
All right, I'm closing the entries.
Okay.
And
And forever hold your peace. So one of the people in the chat, Mr. Javier, was saying that there's 50 planned protests in Florida alone.
50 in Florida?
That's what he said. Yeah,
That's crazy.
and there was apparently a sheriff put an announcement out that if you're found doing rioting things, then you may have to have your family pick up your remains. So yeah, it is Florida.
Mm.
Those rioters probably use alligators.
Okay, let me pop
Are we
over
ready
here.
to-
Yeah, we're gonna do the
Sweet.
thing.
Here we go,
Let me
guys.
Get the entire screen.
wheel
Get
of
the wheel
names.
of pain. I mean names.
Man, Shinde's name is really big.
Yeah. Well, that's because he might be disqualified because he did not enter his full name, which is the actual. Yeah, we'll see if he wins, and then I'll give him shit for it.
Yeah, well, as you should.
All right. So that's it. We got everyone in here. Drop a YouTube link. Can't find it. David. Sorry, David. You can get it on the next one. We do a giveaway at every live stream. So here we go. We're gonna hit the button and we'll see who wins.
Drum roll, please. Mr. Evan Dixon? Ah, nice.
Evan.
Congratulations, Evan.
Congratulations, sir. You have won a Midwest Industries combat rail
Nice.
of your choosing. Whatever length you want, we'll reach out to you after the podcast. We'll get that from you. And our friends over at Midwest Industries will send you that bad boy in the mail so that you can put it on a badass gun and make your gun more capable.
Exactly.
So those are awesome. I have them on a few guns.
All of mine.
All of them.
All 4 of them.
All right. So that's
Congratulations,
Evan.
A nicer guy could not win.
No, he's pretty okay.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I like that guy a lot.
Yeah.
But without further ado, and look at that, we are right on. Man, I could not have planned that better. I was like,
time
hey,
it?
we'll have the giveaway around 8:30.
You're getting good at this.
No, I'm not. I'm just.
It's happenstance, but still, we'll give you credit for it.
So yeah, we're at 8:30, and now we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's discussion. And the reason why we have these two gentlemen on the podcast is because we're going to talk about something that is, I mean, we're going to hope that it's not going to happen to us, because a lot of us, I think, are we like to think that we're pretty smart.
It's not going to happen to me.
Well, you know. But it's good to talk about it and to get a sense of what's going on around the country, because this may happen to you.
It could.
You may be in a location where this becomes very relevant very quickly. And what we're seeing right now is things starting to pop off. And that's happening more and more. it's like a boiling pot. Like, seeing one bubble rising here and there isn't that concerning, but once it gets into a rolling boil, it happens everywhere, right? So you got to keep your head on you. So just to set the stage, this is what's been happening over the last week or so, and then we get to talk about the things that are happening right now. So the Trump administration has put a big emphasis on an anti-illegal immigration policy, right?
It is definitely part of
They're cracking down on it with ICE.
Yep.
The executive branch is giving more authority, getting more raids out there from the ICE, the ICE teams, and they're picking up illegal immigrants around the country. Liberal factions are going, hey, we don't like that. We stand up for minorities. We're going to be anti-ICE operations. But really, I mean, let's face it. It's more about like, hey, we're super against whatever the Trump administration
anything Trump administration puts as a talking point of what they want to do, whether they in any way agree with it or not, they're going to say, nope, we can't have that happen.
So that has come to a boil,
especially in LA.
In LA and other places around the country.
Yep.
Trump has federalized the National Guard, sent in 700 Marines to protect federal properties in Los Angeles. Last time that happened was in 1992, by the way, with the Rodney King riots. At least the National Guard being federalized and activated for civil unrest.
And the Marines, too.
Yep. And that has caused some state and federal tensions, which we're not going to necessarily get into tonight, but it just adds a bit more fuel to the fire of whether or not those things should or should not be happening, people arguing about them on all different types of levels. And then while all this is happening, there's now a big old military parade tomorrow in Washington, D.C., celebrating the 250th anniversary of the United States Army.
Not at all thumbing themselves at the situation going on. It's not at all reaction to all the talking points and all the protests and everything else.
Yep. And it just also so happens to be the President of the United States' birthday tomorrow, which, of course, those two things are going to intertwine, right? Which has, of course, led to the perfect storm of, hey, what a great opportunity to thumb our nose at the administration that we don't like. So June 14th has been designated the National Day of Defiance by a bunch of loosely organized groups calling themselves the No Kings, which
great name.
It's a great name. Honestly, I'd be all for that name. But the radical groups take all the good names.
They ruined it.
And that brings us to tonight, this podcast, our discussion, the eve before the Day of Defiance.
Exactly.
So just setting the tone, kind of putting out there where we're at. And really that brings us to the discussion of what's going on, guys. What are we seeing? What is it that you have seen, at least in your areas? I'll tip it off to you, Gary and Aaron. From your experience, are you seeing anything in your areas in particular that you've seen, raising concerns?
I will go ahead and cut this short so Aaron can talk more about it. Mostly because I live in Bloomsburg, where there are 11,000 people. We don't tend to get much in the way of protests. The town square with the fountain sometimes gets some college students with signs. And I have some, we'll call them alternate internet personalities that have infiltrated the student groups. And they're not planning anything of note. Yeah, in Bloomsburg.
In Bloomsburg.
And I have to travel an hour to get to someplace that's like really a city. So I wouldn't expect for me to stumble across much tomorrow or any day for that matter.
So living, and by the way, I know when we first came on, I had some audio issues. So if those are still going on, please let me know and I can make some adjustments. But
you're good. Good.
I live
You
in
sound
Lexington,
great.
Kentucky, where we are 350, 400,000 people. University of Kentucky's here.
That's it.
So people standing on street corners with signs is a norm. Probably for the last 6 weeks, there's been increases in that, but it is legitimately just people on sidewalks at intersections with signs. Some of them organized, some of them not. Some of them with commercially made signs, some of them with homemade signs. I have zero issue with that. I want to live in a place where
Yep.
people can do that. I have said for many
I
years
agree.
that I actually believe that for all of us, at least most of us, there is some topic that if laws changed, we would want to go to the street with signs and march and bullhorns and protest. Protest defined our country.
Yep.
I mean, we talk often about the Boston Tea Party. That right? Protest defined our country. I want to see that. Someone mentioned 50 or 75 or something in Florida tomorrow. I think in Kentucky, according to the official list, there are 13 cities in Lexington tomorrow that are supposed to have something. Will those happen? Who knows? I'm sure that an individual said, yeah, let's do it in my town. That doesn't mean anybody's going to show up.
Right. Yeah. They're popping their little flag on a giant
Absolutely.
board of like, yeah, like, oh yeah, I'll join the No Kings and I'll organize a march and I'll be here at this time. And I'm sure there might be 4 or 5 people.
And I think
show
that's an
up,
important
maybe,
point.
and a few of them.
That what you just said of they see that's going on and there's an opportunity and they can put their little flag on the map and they can say, hey, we're part of this too. And that we are part of this too. This desire to be a part of it. Is a lot of what we're seeing. I think when you go to the website that we don't need to talk about, but when you go to the website for what's happening tomorrow, when you first see that map, the entire country is covered. You know, so it's a lot of people.
Well, if you make those dots big enough,
yes,
and all of a sudden it's what story are they trying to tell, right? Like, because if those are a pinpoint, it looks like, there's a bunch of dots on a map. But if they make the dots real big, it's like, they've covered the entire United States.
The more they do that, the more people, I want to be a part of that as well.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's really what's at like stake here, or what the driving factor of any of these things are. It's like, okay, this thing upsets me, right? If I'm putting myself in the shoes of people who are being activists right now, seeing ill treatment of people that don't deserve it upsets me, right? Okay. Yeah, I think we could all get behind that. They have essentially, identified with a group that is also against that, but then it has a bunch of other political motivators attached to it, right? And then that adds and compounds with each other. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll go to the march. And that has a lot of other influences on it. And it just, it's things that compound. And then you get these kind of mixing ideologies. And then that's kind of how we get to this whole idea of like right versus left. And then this is a left issue or whatever it is. But it's about belonging, right? Like I identify with this issue and I want to express that and feel, like I'm part of something that other people agree with.
And I know that
right?
You have such a beautiful outline of topics that we might talk about this evening, and I struggle with that so much because I want to bounce all over the place. So I'm going to.
Please do. Yes, that was the whole point. The outline is my brain, not.
And by the way, my position is always going to be based on protecting people, protecting ourselves and the people we care about. That is above the cause. That's above why this is happening. Protecting people is what is most important to me. But I think it's important it's easy to get caught up in an us versus them mentality. And when we do that, we take all of them and put them in one bucket. And that's dangerous for us to look at them as one singular mind. And it's not true. The them, that sounds so weird to say, them are made up of multiple groups with multiple motivations, multiple reasons. Some of them, And it's important for my line of work. It is mission critical to accept the fact that some of those people are actual true believers. I agree with the sentiment that a large number of people, the largest number of people, are going to be against anything that our current president says or does or wants to do. But there is an element that are true believers. They believe there's an injustice and they want change. They may not know what that change is. They may not be able to articulate their position, but they do truly believe there's an injustice that needs to be corrected. The moment we forget those people, I think that's when really bad things start to happen.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because at its core, and this, I try to keep a very level head on this whole thing. You know, like see it from both sides. Like good people, like illegal immigrants are, you know, can be good people.
Sure.
Like just because they're here illegally, like they're integral members of society. They have families. They have, you know, they're humans, right? To see them treated poorly or you know, incompassionately, it is upsetting, right? There should be people upset about, you know, bad things happening to people that are good, regardless of what the situation is. But that often gets easily overlooked because it's like, oh, well, now we're in this. I found myself doing it today with, like I did a Google search today, which I'm not proud of like, is Antifa the same thing as No Kings? Because in my head, I want them to be the same. No. But they're not. Like they're not meant to be. Like we like, to your point, we try to make them the them, right? So
well, it's easier to generalize them as those are the bad guys and we're the good guys.
Yeah.
And if you put them all in one box, it makes them way easier to be the
way oversimplify things. I tell people all the time, if you find yourself in that environment, that rally that turned into a march, that turned into a protest, that turned into a riot, and we can break that down later on in our conversation. But just to make it way oversimplified, there is 10% of those people are actual true believers. And 80% of those people are just there and they can't necessarily articulate why they're there. There's something going on. They want to be a part of something. They want to put their pin on the map, but they can't really tell you why. And then there's 10% who absolutely want to see the world burn. That 10% is who's in charge. That 10%, that subversive group will co-opt the other 90% as best they can into doing the things that they want to do. And I think what the biggest paradigm shift for me in working with journalists was in that role. I tell guys that come on and work with us that the moment that our client can tell what side you're on, you're no longer functioning well in your job. You cannot do that job while talking about screw those guys or I hate those guys or those guys are wrong. That's not protecting people. And when you start thinking of it that way, you start looking at the motives of the people that are there. I'm not here to defend the protesters, but I do think as we think about for us and as we're educating other people on protecting themselves in these environments, understanding that not everybody has the same mindset that is there helps you protect you and yours. And it's that subversive group. We need to learn better how to recognize that last 10%. Because they're the ones that are setting fires. They're the ones that are busting windows. They're the ones that are looting. They're the ones that are shooting at people or spitting on people or throwing water bottles at people. And then the next thing you know, that 80% is very easy to bring them into that.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Sure.
The next thing you know, you're standing in the middle of a Best Buy that's being looted, and you don't know how you got there.
Right.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I want to chat about tonight in terms of like, you know, what do you do if you find yourself in that Best Buy? If you did not get to, like, you weren't paying attention, or if it literally just sprang up around you, we'll get to that too. But I do want to pause for just a second because I think I may have taken something for granted tonight. Just as people assuming, or I assume that people would know who we are, what perspectives are bringing to it. So, Aaron, just to clarify, you're your background is from an
just
executive
an
protection
acrobat.
standpoint, correct? And it's just an acrobat.
There you go.
An aeronaut,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And over the last 5 years, I've spent a sad amount of time across the original Summer of Love of 2020. I did 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for most of 2020, protecting journalists covering protests and riots around the country.
So I forgot to kind of set that tone at the beginning, because that's a great a great vantage, or a viewpoint to have, and experience to kind of pull from. I do want to actually call out, and the reason why I wanted Gary in this as well, and not to call you out, Gary, but I know some of the things in your past in terms of a little bit of not maybe protest, but some political activism in there as well, right?
Wow. Called out.
State house, whatever. But at least from somebody that I talk to on the regular, in terms of, hey, if I was going to go do something, I would go do this. Because Gary has a very good mind in terms of, hey, if I want to get in under somebody's skin, if I want to make changes, if I want to get attention, that's who I go to, is Gary. So I think that's a great viewpoint as well.
Okay. All right. I'll go with that. We'll call it protest. I like protest.
We use the word agent provocateur as if it's something bad.
I would put that on a business card.
As you should.
But yeah, so definitely like some experience to draw from tonight. So as people have questions, we'll keep an eye out on the chat for anything that pops up as well. For those types of things. But one question I want, because you had mentioned it, Aaron. What is, and I'd love to hear both of your definitions too. What's the difference between a protest, a march, a rally, or ultimately devolving into a riot?
I think that I will start with the most positive of them, a rally. As an example to help define this, let's go back to, I don't know, June of 2020, when things were first really popping off. I cannot believe George Floyd incident had just happened, or the George Floyd had just happened. Coincidentally, at the same time that the 911 tapes were released of the Breonna Taylor issue in Louisville. So things were popping off all over the country. And in my hometown, which I have said for the last 5 years, the absolute greatest example of the way it should have been handled was in Lexington. So it was great. But I did spend some time working with some news agencies here in town, and they had rallies. And those rallies were at the courthouse square. There were speakers. People went each day knowing who the speakers were going to be. The speakers talked about the actions they had taken that day, the meetings they had. Here's what we did. And then that rally ended with a march. I don't like marches, and I can explain why later. But
No.
The march is where the subversive group can really start to instigate things, because they get away from the central location, and then it's easy to start manipulating people. But the marches in Lexington, before they would start, the organizers of the rally would say, we're going to do this. We're going to go from this location to this intersection, down this street. They would define exactly where they were going to go and where it was going to end and how it was going to end. And working protection, the thing that made me the most uncomfortable at first is they would say, we're going to stop at this intersection, and we're going to hold that intersection for this length of time. That length of time was, in their mind, how long George Floyd was knelt on. And then they would identify who was going to walk down the street and let the people in cars know, you will be here for this length of time. This is why we're doing this. Well, I can agree or disagree with all of that, but that's protest, right? That's protest. Not only, yes, they were holding traffic, but they were articulating why. And they were telling the people who were being inconvenienced why they were being inconvenienced. And once I saw a group of provocateurs get into the march, and the organizers of the march themselves shut it down. They circled those people and they shut them down. That's a rally. A rally is organized. It has a purpose. That purpose is stated. There's speeches, there's presentations, maybe there's music. It's what we would do at a pro Second Amendment rally. It's a rally.
Right.
A march is
Right.
when that rally starts to move down the street. And most of the time that has such great potential to just get ugly. Because it's easy to shift
Yeah,
and do.
that makes
That's when windows flipping trash cans. And you see somebody flip a trash can, you're like, hey, I want to flip a trash can. I want to bust a window. I want to set that trash on fire. And that just grows exponentially.
I think one of the things added on there too is like, so a rally is a defined place, right? So you have your rally, you have maybe a permit. I mean, I don't. Yeah. But it's defined, right? Like, hey, we're going to stay here.
Tomorrow in Lexington, it's downtown at the Courthouse Square from noon to 3. That's already stated. I'm sure there's already tapped who's going to give presentations and what they're going to say, and signs will be handed out and all of those things. At the end of that, if they decide, all right, let's take to the street, that's when I really start to get concerned about it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're not just expressing your grievance, right, against society. You're then inflicting your will upon other people, because you're now impeding their travel, which that is one of those things that's a big red flag for us in terms of like, oh, well, if my travel, my ability to move gets compromised, then I am less safe, right? So all of a sudden that group starts taking away or inflicting their will on other people. That to me, I think is a pretty good line.
I mean, just
like red flag,
and just in general, like, it's just dangerous. Like, even if it's organized and peaceful and has intention to it, it's just dangerous because you don't know the mindset of the people that you're stopping. Like, you don't know what their reaction to that is going to be. And if that turns violent, it's going to be very hard to get another group of people that are there to not react to it. So it's just an out of control animal, becomes one really quickly.
So then, okay, we have the rally, which can turn into the march, which becomes a form of protest.
I think protest is an umbrella.
Yeah,
it's a blanket.
Yeah, I would agree.
A rally is a protest.
Because a rally is
writing
a protest,
letters
right?
is a protest. You know, calling your congressman is a protest.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's a redress
Which,
of grievances.
Again, we would.
Right?
There's some issue that we would all want to do. We probably have in some form or fashion, especially Gary.
So I guess the question is, because we hear the term the peaceful protest all the time, right? It was a mostly peaceful protest. At what point does it start becoming fully peaceful to mostly peaceful to then somewhat peaceful? And then at what point does it break the line into the riot?
Once again,
a peaceful protest, I see, and I have some personal experience that bothers me with this. Peaceful protest is marketing. Peaceful protest is virtue signaling. Peaceful protest is a term adopted by media. It's not a real thing. We can say, hey, that rally was peaceful. But I got back from, I don't know if you guys remember the NFC coalition was a group that marched all over the United States. You had to be armed. You had to be dressed in, military garb and all these things to march. And me and my teammate and the media crew, the news crew we were with, got held. A large group of guys with AKs held us for a while. And when we got back to the news station, the general manager of that news station commented, at least it was a peaceful protest. And I corrected her. And that news station never used the expression peaceful protest again.
I'm sure she wouldn't have thought it was peaceful if the AK was pointed in her general direction and she was told not to move. It would not have been the first, description of the situation.
But I'm okay with rallies. I'm actually can be okay with marches. I just know that at a march, that's when if we're there, we really need to be paying very close attention to the sights, the sounds, the smells of knowing, is the tide shifting?
Yep. My dad always told me when I was younger, he said the First Amendment is not about speech you agree with. The First Amendment is about speech,
and that even goes back to
this
impeding of movement. I've thought often, if no, Gary's not allowed to speak. If it's a multi-lane highway and there's protesters marching down one lane, but traffic's flowing in the other lane, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being inconvenienced. Right? I'm okay with being inconvenienced. Again, there is some issue that all of us would be willing to inconvenience people over to get our message across. Maybe we've not been good at that. Right? Maybe as a collective, as a group, as a people with a shared common interest, we've not been good at inconveniencing, at getting our message.
I would probably agree with you.
That probably requires a level of moderation that some of us don't have.
Well, that is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. Because we would fall victim to the same issue. There would be a small percentage of true believers. There would be a large percentage of people who just want to be there to see their buddies and get to do something on a Saturday afternoon. And then there would be the 10% that wanted to see the world burn. That would be true on our side as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Is those percentages represented well in tonight's podcast? I believe it's possible.
There's only 4 of us, Gary.
Well, 25% of us want to see the world burn.
Maybe 50, depending on the day.
All right. So, getting to that point, okay, we obviously there's the forms of protest, and then would we say that there is a clear break between protest and riot?
Absolutely.
Or is riot still a form? So let me ask the question to both you guys. What is the line? What is the line in the sand between protest and rioting?
For me, and I don't think this equates to the legal definitions, although I was looking at those earlier today. If you are creating victims, you have passed protest and are into a riot.
I like that. I was going to say when laws start being broken, because that's a slippery slope.
Well, yeah, I mean, theoretically, laws can be broken at a rally.
Noise complaints and
so, we're doing it without a permit because the government, we're protesting the government that doesn't want us here in the first place. Okay, a law gets broken.
When I see trash cans being tipped over, that's an indication to me that this is going south.
Going south.
Yeah, that's a trash can tipped over is a step away from a trash can being set on fire. Is a step away from that guy that has a hammer hidden in his jacket pocket from smashing car windows. And we should not. And if you've read things that I've written online, if you've taken a class from me about this subject, or you've just talked to me about it before, you've heard me say, "Go home. Go home." If you want to go to the event in your hometown tomorrow, as a spectator of the culture, you want to see what's happening. You want to be educated and know what the other side is saying. Okay. But the moment people start shouting, the call and response, the chant, somebody says this, the crowd says this, that is so benign, but it is a step away. It's a step away from controlling the mob.
Would you say
when
that
those things happen, go home? And if it's still happening when the sun goes down, you should not be there. Every bad things happen after dark.
Yep. Oh yeah. That is, I think that's a universal concept.
Yes, people would agree.
8 o'clock. If the rally's at 8 o'clock, that's
don't go.
And to be honest, I've noticed that the ones for tomorrow are noonish, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
it's going to be burnt out by the time. Like, yeah,
Literally.
they have to go like 6 hours before the sun goes down. So, but would you say that sometimes it's not necessarily defined, like, because it sounds like there's more of a vibe, right? Like those
Sure.
things kind of echoing together is the thing that combines into like, hey, that the little hairs on the back of my
Absolutely.
neck are starting, because
Exactly.
like, okay, chants are one thing, you know, the banging of trash cans, things getting knocked over, all those things start coming together. It's like, hey, I need to put these together in my head and like pull the ripcord and
And
get out of here.
I think
right?
most
I
people
do not.
know when to leave. Like something about it is telling
my
you don't
issue
think
is
so?
the most people part. Most people
Oh, okay.
do not recognize. I told this to. I shared something on Facebook a few days ago. Just some tips if you find yourself like you walk out of a store and oh my gosh, where did all these people come from and what do I do? And that's something I've shared in the past, but I added a couple of lines to it. One of which was this idea of the subversive element. And if you're not paying attention, they will co-opt you into their cause. And then a friend asked me about that. And I told him that the more dedicated you are as a true believer, the easier you are to manipulate into somebody else's cause, because you believe in the cause so much that you can't imagine a world where the person standing shoulder to shoulder with you isn't on your side. And when you see them as a teammate, you act as a teammate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
you fall into groupthink very
as an
quickly.
Example, the chants can be like cadence in the army. You know, it can be something that's catchy and it's easy to get caught up. I say this, you say this, and everybody's chiming in and it's echoing and you feel like you're a part of something. And then it's F the police. And then everybody's chanting F the police. And you are suddenly manipulating those people subtly, one step at a time, like boiling that lobster. And the next thing you know, you have whipped them into a frenzy. That's why I say most people won't recognize it, because most people will get caught up in it.
Yeah. And that's I mean, not to say all these things are conniving or like, you know, planned, if you will. I think there's an air of that, something that we think about a lot in terms of like, is there political motivating factors to these things? Are there architects to these? But that's the beauty of it, is like they can influence people, and they, you know, it's part of the process of, you know, maybe just getting them, like that little group of people, like the top 20% that just needed the little bit of push to start doing things. That, you know, hey, once the brick got thrown, you just need one person to throw the brick, and then all of a sudden there might be 2 or 3 people that on any other normal day they wouldn't have thrown a brick at a cop car, but they're like, oh, I'll throw a brick at a cop car.
And on the subject of bricks, so back in late 2020, I asked a security guy why there was a pallet of bricks sitting at 15th Market in Philadelphia, because it seemed very odd to me with no construction going on. And the guy that was standing there that does security for that building, that was standing inside the door, he said, I have no idea. All I know is a truck pulled up, stopped, unloaded, put a shipping label on it, and took
trucks
off.
Pull up and start handing out 2x4s.
Yeah, it's like.
But again, it is not a rally that you went to support your cause, and someone says, "Let's go burn a building down." Okay, I'll go burn a building down. That's not how it happens. It's those chants. It's let's march. It's little pieces at a time. You don't shove somebody into doing something they never thought they would do. You inch them into it one little step at a time. And the next thing you know, they're doing something. Now, they may go home that night and look in the mirror. What did I just do? Or they get arrested and they're sitting in jail and they can't imagine why am I here? I never thought I would do this.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you guys a question. I know this is a little bit maybe flipping the script to the other side, because we're talking about the instigators, the people that are the influencers within the crowds, right? Do we feel like the presence or the tactics of the peacekeepers can also influence that and amplify it in the moment? Well, the professionals, the police, the riot, officers, the ones that are there to quell the protest or the rioting.
Have you? I'm going to paint a picture that you may have experienced, or you can certainly relate to. I want you to imagine you're a parent. I don't have kids, but you're a parent, and you've got a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old boys in the back seat of the car. And you can't see them. You're driving, and the 7-year-old keeps poking the 6-year-old in the arm over and over and over, and finally the 6-year-old can't stand it. And he shoves the 7-year-old. And the 7-year-old goes, "Dad, he hit me." The police are the 6-year-olds. That's not a negative. That's not throwing shade at police. Obviously, I support law enforcement greatly. But the provocateurs know exactly how to push those buttons.
Yeah, they're easily
to manipulate the police into, and the moment they lash out, that was caught on camera.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I only ask that because that's the talking point, right? Like that's the response of people out there who don't think or don't critically look at these types of situations and go, well, the police are causing it. Like them showing up with their riot shields and their helmets and their batons, they're the ones that are escalating the situation. And I think we look at that and go, well, that's kind of silly because they're showing up because
it's their job.
The 7-year-old is poking at the 6-year-old. Like there are precursors that's why they're showing up in the first place.
Some of the most horrific things I've
up.
ever heard one person say to another has been protesters saying things horrific that I'm not going to repeat, but horrific things to maybe slightly overweight female white police officers. And your mind can run amok with the possible things that could be said to that woman.
Right.
Because that is the best way to get one of her teammates to want to defend her. And then you've got a cop lashing out at a protester.
Yep. I saw a video today of just that happening. Like, just words being thrown and all of a sudden it
ugly words that would make any of us want to stand up to protect our own.
I use those words when I'm talking about elected officials all the time.
Sure.
For the same purpose.
Yeah. No.
Yes. No, and that is in and of itself. I mean, where is the line drawn? Because, getting them to react like that is what they deserve, right? Like, if you're a public official or if you have political aspirations and all that stuff. And that, Gary, this is where you and I usually align a lot in terms of like, they deserve everything that they get in terms of, people poking fun at them or trying to get them to instigate because they're in a position that they should be able to contain themselves or hold themselves accountable, right?
So internally dehumanize them as a whole so well that I can sleep peacefully at night.
I've missed you, Gary. And by the way, I have been shot with a lot of pepper balls. And never by a protester.
Oh. Never by a protest. Well, yeah, that's they don't usually carry around the.
They're not. I tell people all the time, at any riot,
guns.
The two opposing factions at a riot have one common thing. They all hate reporters.
Which is ironic because that's how the message gets out. Like, if riots happened and there were no reporters, nothing would ever happen.
Would want to get the message out. But the people who want to watch the world burn doesn't want that part covered.
Yes. Yep. They don't want their face.
They just want to see. They just want to see the cops.
Watch these men on the street videos where someone goes to a rally or a protest with a mic. True believers wants to tell you what they think. They want to tell you why they're there. They see an injustice and they want change and they will tell you about it. But when the people are like, no, you can't talk to us. You need to go away. Get them out of here. Do you not have a message that you want out? Do you not have a cause you believe in? Yes.
Well, why are you here? Yeah. They don't want to admit it.
Hey, before I forget, and
But
because I will forget, and we'll end
yeah.
this, and I'll be like, why didn't I say that? I just wanted to recommend a couple of books, and these are old.
Oh, please
Like,
do.
this one's from the 1940s, and if you're only going to read one book on this subject, it is, and maybe you've all read it, but it's The True Believer by Eric Hoffer. And this is his thoughts on mass movement. So the subtitle is Thoughts on the Nature of Mass Movements. It's what happens that causes people to become followers. And you can probably pick up a paperback copy on Amazon for just a few bucks from the 1940s. The other one is a much longer title. It's Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds by Charles Mackey. And this was written in the 1800s. And it's also about how people become followers. And I think we spend a lot of time, we are the royal we, talking about things like EDC. Make sure you carry a tourniquet, make sure you carry all these things. But we don't talk enough about why they happen. And from my world, the more I can understand how those true believers get co-opted by the subversive group, the more I can recognize when that's happening and get my clients out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Because my clients have to be there.
Yeah.
That's their job.
Yeah,
Right.
That's their job. Like they're in a sense a true believer of their
most
calling,
of the time,
which is I got to get the word out. Yeah, because I highly doubt there's a flippant or casual reporter that's willing to go into the fray and be like, oh yeah, let me just step into this potential riot or political hotbed, and we'll just pop out of there if things get bad. Like they, I have a lot of respect for media people that kind of put themselves there because we need to know about it. It's the same thing as war reporters, right?
Yep.
Hey, Mike, if you check the private chat box, there is a link for the first book, the Eric Hoffer book. I can't post links. I can't type anything in the open chat. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's $1.99 on Kindle right now.
Great.
So $11 paperback.
Wow. Nice.
That's wonderful.
See, that's why I bring Gary around. He's got the Amazon links for days.
On that, in case anyone wonders.
Fantastic.
But,
good move.
A $2 Kindle book. I don't know how many of those you all would have to buy in order for me to notice it. So,
but if they click on that link to buy their Kindle book and decide to also buy a new generator, you get credit for that too.
So
that's true. Yeah. So let me click that link and give the bulletin affiliate. No. No, I mean that's awesome. And I think the book, the reading, the intellectual side of it also kind of speaks to one of the general kind of topics that we wanted to kind of get into tonight, and that is what can we do before these things to learn and to avoid them in the first place, right? Because I would assume that the best way to survive riots, protests, civil unrest is to not be there in the first place.
As I say often, if you don't have a legitimate reason, and there are legitimate reasons, you're a police officer, you are a reporter, you're a journalist, I can go back and forth on this, but the thing is happening at a location where you own a business. There are reasons, legitimate reasons to be there. In the absence of those, go home. Go home. And if you loosely believe in the cause, you sort of believe in the cause, you want to know more about the cause, and you go to a rally to listen to the speakers, the more you've educated yourself on what true believers might believe, why they think this is a just cause, the easier it is for you to recognize when it's deviating from that purpose. Right, let's go to Los Angeles and the burning of, is it Waymo, the electric taxi cars, self-driving taxi cars that were set on fire, right? That does not further any cause.
Yep.
When things are happening that not only don't further the cause but are counter to the cause, that's a great time to leave.
Mm-hmm. Or like even for months leading up to things like that, there was like all the vandalism on Teslas, right? Like the vandalism on Teslas, while I understand it being a way of protest against I guess Musk, who was associated with Trump at the time, although that went south quickly. That the whole idea of like, well, that isn't really furthering the political agenda.
Yeah.
That's just retaliation.
Yep.
That's to Gary's point
Absolutely.
before, creating a victim, right? That's all it is I'm now expressing my feelings, and I want to make someone else hurt by destroying their property. I think that's a pretty good indicator. But what things can we look out for? I guess leading up to it, that may be, indicators that this could be the thing that isn't like the type of rally that we want to go to, or an area that we want, like, or is it just like, for instance, I'll give my thoughts on tomorrow's kind of like, well, general ways I'm going to try and stay safer. I'm not going through Philadelphia tomorrow, right? Like I have some level of open source intel, like, the news media saying, hey, there are protests tomorrow. I can go on websites and find information from No Kings saying, hey, we're going to be in these locations. We might have 4 or 5 protests within Center City, Philadelphia, or something like that. So that is enough for me to go, okay, well, I can avoid that whole section and I don't need to be there. But I'm going other places. So, well, I need to figure out how to get there, and I'll just go around it. But that's like the day-to-day practical side of it. Are there other things, other ways to kind of go, all right, that's a good thing to look at?
Unless I'm working, I don't have any interest in being at them. In any at all.
Yeah.
So that's
No,
easy.
of course.
If I know what's going on, I don't go.
Yeah.
A great source of just open intel on it is your town, and my town does. Gary's town probably does not, but there's probably something close of the subreddit for your town. And that is
yes,
Facebook groups.
Facebook groups.
Yes, those are easier to lock down. Those are more likely to be locked down. There'll be private groups, secret groups, but the chatter in your locale's subreddit is a great place to see what's happening, what's going on. Even people planning their bad behavior will often happen in a publicly accessible subreddit for your city.
I would also say that it also gives a good sense of what the public sentiment is of the political cause. Like, for instance, or at least the most vocal aspect of it in that age group that uses something like Reddit, right? In my area, I keep an eye on like the Bethlehem, the Allentown, and the Lehigh Valley. Those are the kind of that's the metro area I'm in. Like those subreddits, and always try to pay attention to if somebody makes anything that could be considered political in one way or the other. How is the group reacting to it? Like, especially with the protests coming up this weekend, how are people reacting to it? And then if someone goes, hey, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you go to that? Or any opposition whatsoever, what's the responses to them?
Yeah. How violent was the
response?
Yeah.
And like seeing the tone of like, oh, this could get like, this isn't a civil discourse thing. Although that's kind of like society in general nowadays.
Yeah.
But like, how quickly are people to jump on these and go, you're just wrong, or like you're racist, right? Like, I can see some of the rhetoric that's already going to be coming from, well, if I show up there and I'm not one of the people chanting and waving, what are they going to be calling the others, right?
Yeah.
The people outside of that group. And how quickly are they going to be calling them very like, or labeling them as extremists? You're all racist, inhumane people because you're not helping, or you're not stopping ICE.
Well, often in those groups, they're already echo chambers. So the culture in those groups is probably going to agree with the things that's being said in those groups.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I know, like, in the past, like I run deliveries for our company, and I schedule them, I route them, and everything, and there was a couple times when the guys were like calling saying, hey, we're hitting some traffic and we're heading towards Philly. It's like, well, then go around or don't go. Like, if it's looking weird to you, like if it's, not a normal time for traffic to be heavy, and there's no signs of construction, and there's nothing on the map showing a construction or an accident, because it's amazing Google does those things, then don't go. Like, if you can't go around and you have to go through that area, just don't go. Come back. If it seems fishy to you,
probably to all of you,
don't
I've
be
recommended
there.
this before, but I think the Waze app is something that we should all have on our phone. It is far. I think
Oh,
it's
it's
far
so
for
great.
certain reasons. It's far superior. I know Google owns them now, but it's better than any other GPS app I'm going to use for two reasons. One, it's easy to see those choke points, those congestion areas. For what you're explaining, it tells me I should go around. For like a
Yep.
media position, it tells me where I need to be going. Because if I'm looking for where, if it's a march,
Right.
and I'm looking
Yeah.
for that march, well, those people marching are holding up traffic, so I can look for where traffic's held up and know where the current mob is located. But also,
Right.
Waze allows me
Yep.
to touch a button and talk to somebody that's stuck in traffic. I can send a message to somebody
Right.
at the front of that and say, "Can you tell me what's going on?" Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, really? I did
Waze
not
is
know
a
that.
social GPS.
That's
So, not only can you mark
Yes.
there's a car broke down beside the road or there's a pothole, I can also send a message, a text message to they call them Wazers, other people using the app.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Right.
Google's absorbed some of that in their own GPS, but it's nowhere near as prolific
Right.
as when you're on
And
the
that's
actual
just a
Waze app.
phenomenal tool for us to use when we find ourselves in those environments.
Mm-hmm. And we had one job where like it was a block of one of the main streets. They had come down and basically shut down the off ramps, shut down the on ramps, and basically in the middle of Philadelphia just stopped all traffic. And told the guys like just get out of there. Like go if you can't get there, just leave. Like you sitting there or getting further into it's only going to be a bad thing. And then later on that night, looking at the news, it wound up being some kind of a shutdown of the intersection. So
while we're kind of chatting about, all right, so today
Right.
you have the opportunity, right, to go and put these types of things on your phone, right? You have the opportunity to get Waze, become familiar with it, learn how it works. I just learned something new myself. You can use it for two-way communication. That's awesome. You can start looking into open source intel, right? Like what are people saying? You can even maybe infiltrate and become a personality within a group to see if you can get some information maybe from
Things
smaller
that we can talk
groups,
about in a
right?
class, but not something that's going out on YouTube. Right.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sprinkling here of like things that you could do, like just ways to get information. I guess the thing that you could also do, and this is one of the things I think people love to hear about and talk about, is like, what can I bring? What can what's well, I mean, obviously skills that you can pick up in classes. I think we're all big advocates of classes. Are you teaching a class related to this
I have
subject?
taught a
Aaron?
class related to this subject. I have.
when do you bring it to Pennsylvania?
Yeah, when's the next time?
Let's talk about that offline, and let's make that happen.
Okay.
I want to make that happen.
We can make that happen.
I have been so busy with work that
Yes,
the training side of things is kind of I've let slip, and I got
Yeah.
all wound up that I thought 2025 was going to be the year that I was going to teach a lot of classes. I actually reached out to Gary about hosting me, and then I got absolutely slammed. And I'm kind of at a place now where I just really want to make that happen and just shift life a little bit. But yeah, we can certainly talk about that. Awesome.
Well, we're here for you. Like anything
that's humbling.
we're big fans. So, okay. So the question is, what can I do to be more prepared now for if I find myself in that situation?
Yes,
If
and by
if-
more prepared, you're not meaning for tomorrow. You're meaning for some event somewhere in the future.
anytime in the future, what can I start doing? What can I carry with me? What can I bring? What can I stage? Like what skills? Like the stuff that a lot of us like to like. We want the list, right? We want give me the check boxes, things that I could do to be better prepared for this stuff, knowing that I should avoid it, but if I find myself in it.
All right,
You know what I mean?
Gary, go.
I should have a checklist, a PDF for sale right now.
Yes, you should.
Probably
For
does
this,
already.
I don't, but I mean, I can say that I have taught had seminars where there was a handout, and the last page of the handout is a gear checklist. And when I was cleaning up after everyone left, there were handouts that were left that they didn't take, but the back page was ripped off. So I totally get the checklist is what they came for. That idea. I mean, I guess really it depends on, are you there on foot? Are you there in your vehicle? You know, if you got a vehicle, you can carry lots of shit. And if it's got a 4-wheel drive button, it'll probably get you out of a lot of places too. So, you know, do we have some constraints here, or what are we thinking?
I would say, you know, let's think of it around the car. Like, okay, the people who are typically mobile, but they've found themselves in a situation that, this went south quicker than I expected. You know, like where can you start? Because that's the easy place. Is like, I'll throw this in the car. I don't need to carry it with me.
Well,
all
the good
time,
news
but,
is if you're playing it around your car, you have the ability to put a lot of things in that you might need, not just like, hey, I got to have my blaster on me and a tourniquet in my pocket. You know, that's like a given all the time. But with a car, you're like, well, I can put, you know, a junctional tourniquet in there. I'm not carrying one of those on my person. But if I need it, I can have that bag, you know, because they come in a bag about yay big. I can have that sitting over there, stowed with a bunch of other medical gear, et cetera, et cetera. So,
right.
The only downside to stocking your car is, you know, you got to be ready to lose it all. I think it was Russ Kolkman that once said that you only truly ever own the things you can carry on your back at a dead run, which I think is pretty wise. But all those things you leave in there will belong to somebody else in a few moments. Like when they break the windows and before they light it on fire, they're going to loot the shit out of it. So if you're the guy that's like, well, I bring 3 rifles and yep, you just gave those away. So I know it's going to be hard for people to hear me say these words, but maybe you shouldn't leave a rifle in your truck.
Agreed.
And if you have a rifle in your truck, you better fucking take it with you. Like, you can't leave that thing.
Yeah. So you should probably have a way of
Discreet.
carriage that is not necessarily
Discreet.
hanging around your neck.
Yeah. Yep.
Folding
things come apart.
socks and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Bags, you know, discreet
It's
bags.
the thing that gets me, and I understand. I mean, I've been in this world. We've all been in this world for a long time. I'm old. I've been in this world for a very long time. And I understand. I understand the bravado, because we're all guilty of that. I understand the bravado of I'll just ... I'll pull over and pop the trunk and grab my rifle and start mowing them down. I know where that comes from. But the reality is, I don't care what rifle you have in the trunk of your car. If you're facing 500 protesters, you're not going to win that fight. Because what do we have to assume about every single protester? They're armed.
They're armed.
Whether you see it or not, you have to believe that they are. And in my world, I want my clients to believe everyone they meet is armed and they know how to use it well. When we step away from that, they're just a dumb protester. You don't know that. You don't know that. We have to assume we're not going to stand there and fight them. That's our goal, our mission. Whether I have a client or I walked out of the store with my family and, oh my gosh, what's going on? Or I went to watch, to learn, and it got out of hand. Our goal needs to be, how do I extricate myself from this situation as quickly, as safely as I possibly can? That's our mission. And maybe we have a client, i.e. spouse, kids, mom, friend, whatever, or client that's paying you. But we have to get out of there. So what do I want to have with me? Well, yes, I'm going to have a gun with me. I'm going to have a tourniquet with me. I'm going to have a bottle of water with me, because I always have a sling bag with water in it. Going back to what Russ said, and Russ is a great guy. I think we should every one of us should have it as a mission that we can walk 5 miles without stopping. 5 miles. 10,000 steps without stopping.
Mm-hmm.
And when that gets easy, we do that with our back on. And when that gets easy,
Mm-hmm.
we start increasing the speed or the distance or something. But every one of us should make it a goal. And I mean, I do 5 or 10 miles 7 days a week. I'm not telling you to do that. Your life would change if you did. And most often, and
Yes.
I tell people this all the time, if you find yourself in that situation, again, you walk out of a store, because they can happen that fast. There was nothing going on when you went in, and when you come back out, there's 1,000 people standing in the middle of the street. The quickest way back to wherever you parked your car might be the long way around, because it's now the safest way back to your car.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't walk 5 miles,
And they're really,
is somebody going to carry me?
yeah.
What am I going to do?
The really terrifying thing for me is the idea that it's not me
I know.
walking out of the store,
I get
it's
it.
my wife.
Yep.
Or my daughter walking out of the store,
Yes.
and she's the one encountering that.
And maybe it's I walk a mile the opposite direction to someplace that's relatively safer. But my ability
Mhm.
to move my body is the most important thing I can train for. Well, in addition to recognizing when things are changing. Of course, that's
Oh,
kind
for
of,
sure. Yeah.
yes.
The situational awareness factor is paramount, because that will tell your feet to move.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the movement thing, so many people become static minded of this is my hill to die on. This is my castle. This is like my space is mine. And they often don't look at the idea of like, this is fleeting. Just get rid of it. Like, get out of there. Like, this isn't this.
I can
This
tell you
spot
this
is
from
not
experience.
important.
When you watch a large number of people run for their lives that haven't ran in a very long time, the things they discard will shock you. The women will drop their purses so they can maybe move just a little better because they haven't ran in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Or probably have
Correct.
never considered running with anything that isn't
And does
tied
this
to their
advice,
body.
is this
Like
just about riots and
hers.
protests? No. Our
No,
ability
it's-
to move our
no.
body 5 miles without stopping. 5 miles is a long way. We can achieve a
Mhm.
lot by moving from this location to 5 miles away.
Here's my question: is it 5 miles downhill that I could do?
Bro, yesterday I walked 6 miles, and in 1 mile I went 1,040 feet up and then 1,040 feet back down. I felt like I walked 50 miles.
Yep. When I start
Yeah.
every day on a treadmill at a 15% grade at 3 miles an hour,
Ooh.
and I do that for either 30 or 45 minutes depending on the day. And I'm not telling you to do that. Start off flat, and when that gets easy, find a way to
Mhm.
find a way to make it harder.
Faster or higher,
Higher step.
higher like incline, right?
As Gary just said.
Yeah.
But so for what can I have with me? I can have top of my list, the knowledge to understand what's going on around me. The second thing on my list, the ability to extricate myself from that environment when number one tells me I need to.
Mm.
Sounds like the most important things have nothing to do with gear. It's funny how that works.
Well, I mean, that's my problem with what you're talking about, Aaron, because I can't buy either one of those things.
How can I put those in
Well,
an
you
Amazon
definitely can't buy
shopping
them
cart?
because Aaron isn't scheduling a class for you to pay for.
We'll get you into a class. No, I think really, is there a better way to kind of, think about that other than like, it's really about the mindset. It's
Sure.
about the idea of movement. It's not the thing that you have. It's how you address the problem. It's how you recognize it. It's what the way you respond to it.
And how fast you respond to it is also going to probably lead to how dicey it can get and how much you wind up have to potentially running instead of
Yeah,
just,
if that
maybe
number
just
one-
moving intentionally.
If that skill set of recognizing bad things are about to happen, if that's on point, then I can stroll away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So beyond the intellectual, beyond the things that
Yeah.
are
And
intangible,
physical training.
what
Yeah.
Yeah, the things that obviously we should be doing that will benefit us in life way more than anything else. You know, normal EDC things. They're things that we carry with us, skill sets every day. Medical, I assume, is probably high up on the list of, and that's not even just a gear thing. That's a, hey, you should have the skills to be able to help people, because if you wind up in those types of situations, there's a high likelihood of yourself being hurt or someone that you love, or maybe even rolling across somebody that,
let me tell you,
might
I
need some help.
I
Like,
internalized. I can still feel the moment that I heard it was a protester screaming for a medic. This was pretty early on in my role, but screaming for a medic, and everything in my body to go to them, because it was a blood curdling medic. The female reporter I was with felt it, put her hand on my back and said, "Do we need to go to them?" And I'm like, "Nope, that's not why we're here. That's not why we're here."
Yeah. You're in a different role.
So
like,
the lesson in that is we're good guys. We want to do good things, but we can't allow that to get us caught up in it. Correct.
yeah, the white knight syndrome. Yeah.
So you come out of a store, you've done everything wrong. You don't have the things you need. You haven't watched the news because you're oblivious, and you find yourself in the middle of something like that. What can you do to try and get through it? That
walk back in that
maybe
store and go out
the back door.
delivery entrance.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like, is there a way to move amongst them and through them where it's not
city streets, right
necessarily
angles? You can avoid, because normally if there's a mob, they're moving one way, or east, west, north,
Right.
south. They're moving one way or another, 90-degree angles to that. And if you had a satellite view, obviously there's exceptions. LA is an exception to this right now, but in most instances in your small town, they're in a confined space and move 90 degrees to that. That's why I say my path back to my vehicle, or my path to safety, might be the long way around. And it's because I'm moving at a right angle to the mob and then circling far and wide around them to get back to my car or whatever. And if I absolutely, and I get asked about this all the time when I write it, if I'm with my daughter that I don't have, I'm with someone, pushing them through the crowd is far superior than pulling them through the crowd. You're not using them as a shield, Gary. Sure. You are. But
I would say that for my son. But okay.
But I can now keep an eye on them. They're not going to get pulled away from me, and I'm not just willy-nilly pushing them into people. I'm steering them through the crowd.
Yes. Yeah.
Versus trying to hold on to them,
the people,
and you don't know what's happening to them behind you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, if we couldn't get you on tonight, one of my plans was to read your post about tips for these things. Yeah, just go home. But like there was a plan to read that verbatim and be like, hey guys, this is the starting point for tonight's discussion. Yeah. Some really good thinking from Aaron Little. And that's we were gonna use that, but now we have the real thing.
Yeah, Reed Lindauer, who's in the chat, was like in his suggestion, just read it verbatim.
Yeah,
and we're like, well, no, just read it verbatim
and end the pod. Just read it and end the podcast. He's Reed. If you're still here, we were chatting about some of your other discussions this week and how poignant they have been for the times that we were
coming
seeing.
To the muster.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
He is. He should bring some of that knowledge with him.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Is he teaching at the muster? Or is he just coming? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Nice. Rapid response training at the all hands muster.
I'm hoping I didn't just imagine. We actually had that conversation.
Well, he is now. If he wasn't, he is now.
Oh, yeah.
He's been bullied into it.
As I sat here and tried to think about other gadgets, gizmos, and doodads that I would want to have with me in such a bad place. One that gets missed a lot is a fully charged cell phone. Fully charged
Oh,
cell
yeah,
phone.
for sure.
I guess I could have a radio, but fully charged cell phone gives me that access to Waze, gives me that access to communicating with. Maybe if I've got to walk the opposite direction from where my car is, I can have somebody come pick me up. But if I don't have a fully charged cell
Mhm.
Yeah.
phone, and what happens if we're that person that went to that event because we wanted to be a spectator? We're taking pictures, we're shooting videos, we're running the battery down on our phone.
Yeah. I was just about the
Waze
communications
itself
is
a
kind of like
battery
my
drain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
yes. Yeah.
in that sling bag that I always have, there's also an Anchor battery to recharge my phone.
Yep.
With a long enough cable
Yeah.
that I can leave the battery in the sling bag and hold my phone in my hand while it's still plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have anything with you that you're putting in like a shopping cart from Amazon,
Yeah.
having an Anchor battery bank or some kind of battery bank for your phone, it's just got to be a given.
I often tell people in like the GPS class that I do, or any type of like communications type stuff, if you are using that phone for anything other than calling somebody, you should have it plugged in. Like 100% of the battery of that phone should be available for you to grab it and go and be able to call for help with it. And if you're using it for like navigation, usually you're using it in a car, it should be plugged in. If you're playing games on it, you should be playing the games on the like when it's plugged in. And then if that extra battery runs out, you should stop doing all that stuff. Like, because you need that thing to call for help. Like, it's the best thing that you could possibly have for it. And the power that it has on board is all that it like. That's all it has. If you run out of extra stuff to put
so what
into
you're
it.
saying
So,
is every time I open up Instagram on my phone, I'm pressing the trigger and firing around.
yeah, you're
Yep.
expending consumables every time that you flick to the next Facebook thing. Now, if you're using it for like important intel, like I'm gonna pop open the Waze app. That's as important as calling for help. But the taking the pictures, the like texting the friends, like, you know, all of the superfluous stuff that isn't necessarily priority communication, those are the things that we have to be disciplined with, like when we're in those situations where we need to prioritize our communication devices.
And DJI
right?
makes a
So
bunch of cool
100%.
little cameras that you can just stick in your bag.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of separating things out of my phone, like just in general. Like a GPS outside of my phone is an integral thing to have.
I do suggest that maybe you and Max get together and play with the Waze app and experiment with that, sending each other messages.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've used it a bunch.
I use it all the time. Like if I get into the car, that goes in the cradle and it gets plugged in, and then I use Waze even if I'm not
Same.
navigating somewhere, because it gives me
I
intel
actually,
as I go.
if I'm driving from one side of my city to the other and I know exactly where I'm going, I still put the address in, so it will reroute me around things.
Mm-hmm. I find it really. But okay, another thing, just a point that people really should be looking into: maps, and not just maps for in the moment, but like if you're living in an area, like I live near Allentown, I should really know what streets go in what directions, what alternate routes I can jump to or get to for lines of egress from areas, right? Like that's something that you can put time into now just to know generally, you know, the area that you're going to be in,
When
which
you
a
know
lot
the
of people
town
take for granted.
and you know where you're going and you're trying to get from A to B, and there is a mad mob wreaking havoc, and you run into the local police and they tell you, "We're sorry, we're not going to let you go that way."
Mm-hmm.
And you say, "My client's office," and they look at you and shake their head. Tough. You better know another way to go.
I mean, in Philly, like literally PGW without any warning will just shut a street down. And I mean, it's nowhere near as critical as that, but like, okay, you're in the middle of Philly, and if you're in certain parts of Philly, like it's not like all the streets are just, you know, east, west, north, south.
So you're saying that navigation is probably a pretty good skill to have
probably
outside
a
of
priority. Yeah.
I got clients to an alley, and I knew the city well enough to know that I could get them down that alley to safety. And there was a like a road blockage sawhorse kind of thing sitting there, and a National Guard guy went to move it so I could move them through, and a Louisville Metro police officer walked up and knocked it out of his hands and said, no, they can't go that way. And then luckily I could calculate another way to go. Again, two groups of people fighting. They don't like reporters.
Altercation.
Yeah. We were talking about like ways to call for help, like having that phone with you. I guess one of the things that I've always kind of thought through and or never found myself in, but like, is there help to be called in those situations? Like,
the situation dictates that.
Yeah. Like I imagine if you're in the area where things are locked down, you can't get out. Like, are people really coming to help? Like, and it's just to emphasize, like,
hang on, what does help mean?
Well, exactly. Like, is it your friends? Is it,
But I mean, what help are you wanting them to provide? Are you wanting them to come and help you fight the protesters, or are you wanting them to help get you out of there?
Or medical help? Like, I'm non-ambulatory, or,
Okay.
I don't, I'm just thinking through different ways of like, what are some things that I might need to call for help from whoever?
I would say, like, if you're in a moment and that's going on, I mean, the odds of you being able to get any kind of help other than going up directly to a policeman and saying, I need help, is probably non-existent. And even then, they might just look at you as,
Okay, so we've decided we want to go to this event tomorrow. You want to go to the one closest to you. When you get there, stay away from the stage or the podium or the whatever. Be on the outskirts. I like Overwatch, but stay someplace relatively secure, right? And know exactly what primary, secondary, tertiary means of egress is going to be. Think about that while the wind's blowing gently, the sun's shining, it's a perfect 72 degrees, whatever. Know where you're going to go before bad things happen. So when bad things, you feel, oh no, I need to go. It's not, where do I go? You already know where you're going.
Yep.
Right. And likewise, if I know that and I'm like, oh crap, primary is not available, secondary is not available, I've got to go to tertiary. But that's the long way around. Well, I can get out my phone and send a text to my buddy and say, meet me at that park 2 miles from where I am. That's help.
Yeah.
Because once things are kicked off, they're not getting to you.
Right.
Oh, and the non-ambulatory thing. There is absolutely no way I would go by myself.
Sure.
Just like in the EP world, one person is not a detail. I would not, even as just a citizen, I would not go to an event that I felt like had any potential of kicking off bad. I would not go by myself. And I would know the capabilities of the person that was with me.
Right.
And that doesn't mean turning into John Wick, but can they walk 5 miles without stopping?
Can I push them into the crowd as a
Yes. That's help. If I tripped over a curb trying to get away from the mob and sprained my ankle, can I put an arm around them and us get out of there?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's more the things that I was thinking about in terms of like, hey, if you do find yourself in an area where it's restricted mobility, right? Like the cordoned off area. I guess, that's one question. Like, and I'm just not familiar enough with tactics and or these types of things. When they cordon off areas or put up roadblocks, or do they usually like corral the whole thing, or is there usually a line of exit that exists in those? Like, is there a line and then people can retreat from it, or are they kind of boxed in?
Typically that's to keep the crowd from a place.
Right.
So they don't want to give them an exit out that way. It's like think of it more like channeling the crowd.
Sure.
So they're dictating the route you're going to take
when
they start blocking off streets.
Gotcha. So it's, there is a line of egress somewhere that you can go, but it's where they want you to go.
Yes, allowed and capable.
Mm-hmm. What about hiding? Is that an option?
Gary mentioned it earlier. When you walk out of a store and oh my gosh, what's happening? Go back in the store and go out the back, or just go back in the store.
As long as it's not a Foot Locker in Philly.
Yeah. Cool. So I think we've talked a bunch about things. I mean, and I think the nuances that you point out, Aaron, are very, very poignant in the sense that, it all depends, right? Our favorite answer in all of training is it depends.
It depends.
Situation dictates the tactics.
The situation is going to dictate however you find yourself. And a lot of that kind of revolves around. I think that the two things that I've kind of taken away from this conversation is it really revolves around situational awareness. That's the big one, and then really it seems like movement is the catch-all of the day. Which, I mean, hell, if you take enough classes, I would say that's probably a common theme in most of those as well.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. The situational awareness thing. I think a lot of people throw that phrase around without any real idea of what they're talking about. It sounds cool. It sounds really cool.
Oh yeah, especially when they use essay. It has
What I really like is
what I
really like is my situational awareness is so good I would never be in that situation in the first place.
Oh yeah, I walk around in condition orange all the time.
All the time. And I mean, obviously the common tropes of situational awareness are important. For me in these environments, it's not just enough to have my head on a swivel. It is understanding what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't happen in the moment. That requires watching YouTube videos of past events. That involves becoming a historian of violence and mobs and reading books and understanding just how things happen. Because if I don't understand that, then all the paying attention to what's going on is meaningless. If I don't know, that means something bad.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's, I think, a really great kind of segue into, what are the things that, say we found ourselves in those difficult situations. Say we did have to figure out a way to move. We did recognize things. We were there, we left, or we did have to, confront difficult situations there. What are we doing afterwards? We're assessing, right? Like we're checking, like we're figuring out, did we make the right decisions? Is there anything that you guys are doing? I guess maybe from a professional executive protection side, are there consumables or things that you're restocking or making sure that you have ready to go for the next time? Kind of like the top off phase of a fight,
Not really.
No,
because I mean, again, in that environment, it's about a client's there to do a job.
Yep.
It's my job. And I tell in that specific environment, I tell the clients, you are in charge until I say we have to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have a job to do. And I'm there to make sure they can do their job and stay safe.
Yeah.
Right.
And I need them to know that when I say we have to go, and I say this all the time, there is no, what do you see? What's happening? I tell them, when I say we have to go, I promise you, I will tell you why later. But for now, I need you, when I say we got to go, we're going.
And I would assume that takes a lot of staging of explaining to them the situation so they know the cues and they don't get into the question phase when you need them to just listen to what you're telling them to do.
Correct. Because most often if they want you to explain it, and this, I'm talking about a client, but this could be your spouse,
right?
A parent, a child.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Yes. That knowledge of, I promise you, I will explain it when it's over, but we can't have any of that conversation in the moment.
Yeah.
Yep. Because you need to have that conversation with your spouse. Like you're in that situation of like, no, like whether you use a code word or whatever you choose to use.
Yes.
In this moment of time, what we're doing is we're just doing this thing, and you need to just come with me. And then once we're past that situation, then we'll talk about what happened or whatever.
The harder one would not be your spouse. like those of us that are married here have been married for some time. They'll get it.
Mhm.
Oh, that he's using that tone of voice.
Yep.
That they'll pick up on the language. It's when you're with your friends, your coworkers, the
Mhm.
people that don't know you well, that'll want to stop. Like, hey, hold on, time out. Why are we doing this? They'll be more of a problem, I think, than your wife or your kids will be. Like, my kids are now all adults, and they still will go, oh, dad's using the dad tone. We're just going to do whatever it is. And sometime later, when he's not yelling, he'll,
That's wonderful. I hate the what do you see? It's time to go. What do you see? None of your business. It's time
Yeah.
to go. It's
I
just
want
time to go.
to read a comment by Mr. Sam Russell. You know, Aaron is a serious guy when he says, "This is the sap that I've used the most."
Subject for another video, but I am a big fan of a sap.
I've taken your SAP course after alumni weekend, and
that had to be pointed out.
That was great.
Awesome.
That was a great
Thank you,
class.
Sam.
I'm a big fan of a sap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Aaron's a good friend when he gifts you a sap.
Mark Luell, if you guys don't know Mark's great, but Mark is now a sap maker. And long before he was a sap maker, I saw him once reference a sap as weaponized leather. And that's really stuck with me.
Yeah.
I really like a sap.
Sorry for the tangent, but that's
weaponized leather like my hands.
Yes.
There you go. I'm not that old. Come on.
Sounds like a name of a gay bar. Weaponized leather.
Weaponized. Wow.
It does.
Is that the one in Philly?
Probably. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. This is how the podcast usually goes. We've been remarkably restrained this evening.
I've been shocked that it took this long. Somebody earlier today asked me if I had a leak, and I said, knowing the crowd I'm going to be with, how about I wait and send you a link after the fact?
Let's see how it goes. But yeah, so I think we've chatted about this a bunch. We're approaching a couple hours in, and I'm so thankful that you guys have taken the time to kind of sit with us tonight, chat about this topic. It being something that I'm sure people have been wanting to hear about. Let me ask you, like, to both of you guys, Gary, if you can go first. Where do you think things are going? Like, any parting thoughts or advice for people when it comes to surviving riots?
I guess my advice is don't think that it's going to start and end tomorrow. It's probably going to be until the weather gets cold, you're going to see this kind of thing popping up frequently. So don't get complacent. Come Sunday morning, you're like, oh, it's Father's Day and I've made it. Nope. I would expect to see, like 2020 patterns of this behavior. So,
yeah,
Yep.
We've seen a ramp up. It would make sense that it's a continuing phase.
Yes, I agree with all of that. And I would like to add two things. One, indirectly related. When I have new guys come to work with me, the moment I sense an excitement to get to do the thing, they're fired.
Mm.
And that we should look at that on both sides. When you're listening to the true believers or any from that side, when they sound excited to get to do the thing, I don't want to be around them. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right. Just like I don't want to be with a team of, close protection guys when one of them's excited to get to smoke that fool. Not with me. You're not. Yeah. You can go home.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Go home. But with the things that Gary just said and it cold weather, rain tends to wash them out. But they'll be back the next day because they're excited to get to do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
A difference I notice between 2020 and today that concerns me. And I know, like, for any of you or anybody watching us that had any involvement in the first summer of love. The desire to hate each other is far greater today than it was 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
Which is saying a lot.
I know. That's why I say if you were involved in 2020, you saw a lot of ugly, you saw a lot of hate. I cannot begin to count how many times I was spit at or on in 2020. But the desire to hate each other is far greater today than it was then. And there's no way that can lead to a good thing.
Nope.
That's what scares me.
Yeah, me too.
That's what scares me. That creates othering.
Yep.
And that scares me. I think we're seeing that in LA right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just the raw. It's almost like the number of the subversive element is larger than that 10-80-10 I talked about at the beginning of our evening together. Just the raw hate. I hate you because you think different than I do.
Yeah. And
listen, I was at an event one time where there was Antifa and Proud Boys. And they set up on different intersections and gave speeches. And I, with the media, was in the perfect position to listen to both sets of speeches. They were the same. They were both talking about the exact same cause. If those people could have sat down at a Denny's over a Grand Slam breakfast and talked about what they cared about, they'd have hugged it out. But they have to hate each other.
Yep.
And that hate is greater today than it was 5 years ago. That's a problem. How do we solve that? Man, I wish I knew. I pray about it.
Yeah, and I think we're just so exhausted by the whole thing. There is a level of exhaustion of overstimulation of it that I think makes it even easier to do the other thing, just because it's just more of a reaction than a thought about it.
Yes, it's a fatigue.
Yeah. And I would say, to piggyback off of that, like we as a community, like the training community, we put so much effort into the preparedness, the what can I learn, what can I buy, what can I stage, what can I prepare for, right? We're preppers at heart, which is in and of itself kind of a defensive mentality. Like, hey, I'm going to worry about me and what I love and not worry about everyone else. But I think a little bit of that, worrying about how to spread some love. I know that sounds
Hey, go back and look at the post I make about that you were going to read tonight.
Yeah.
The last line is kindness is a superpower.
Yep. I think, and this is one of the things that I've always admired about you, Aaron, is that like every message that you have has a message of kindness and a message of positivity to it. And as a matter of fact, like there is so much joy and positivity that you have shared with our community, like our close circles. I don't mind sharing this idea because you've influenced us to be better people to each other in terms of like the idea of none of us can deny a gift, because that would just be wrong to deny someone the joy of giving somebody a gift. And that in and of itself creates bonds of brotherhood and love and sharing and like things that have brought people closer together. That type of mentality, I think, is something that is I think what we all should be doing is trying to bring some of that out to the rest of the world too. Is being good to everyone, I think, is the only way to combat this idea of like, everyone wanting to like be at each other's throats.
From my Christian worldview, just because you disagree with me doesn't mean I'm supposed to hate you.
Yeah.
Yep. Just basic compassion for the fact that they're also a human being and they're reacting to what their environment is, and the more you can understand why they're doing it, allows you to understand better who they are and maybe find a common ground between you and them.
Without that, we're never going to find that common ground.
Yeah.
And again, that's what scares me so much about now. is it's cool to hate each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. It's trendy. It's trendy to.
Cool tip. It's happening.
Yep. But no, I think this has been excellent, and I think that's a great kind of piece of parting advice for everyone: is bring a little bit of positivity, keep your head on your shoulders, prepare, do all of it together. But definitely don't just sit there. And I guess I saw it pop up in the chat a few times too, and I think we'd all probably agree with this. Like, don't go to stupid places with stupid people and do stupid things.
Yeah.
Like that.
And guys, like, check on your people. Like, you have these people that are your friends, your family, family that aren't blood, all these people, like check up on them. Like, this is going to be a stressful bunch of months. So make sure you're communicating and keeping in touch with them.
Yeah. Hold on to your groups.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you will allow me.
Oh, you are allowed to do whatever you want, sir.
This will be a Facebook post that's been mulling around in my head for the last several days, and I'll share the thought with you guys before I make it public, because I haven't quite figured out how to politely say it yet. But there's a meme that's been floating around about it being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and this request, this speak up, say something, let people know. And something you just said, this reminded me of this. I agree. If Gary's struggling, I want him to call me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way that's victim blaming. Well, why didn't you call me if you were feeling bad? Check on your people.
Yeah.
Check on your people. Because a lot of times the reason they're not reaching out to you is because they don't feel worthy. They feel so bad about themselves that they don't want to put that badness on you.
Yep.
So check on your people. Hey, you popped in my mind today. How you been? Maybe they'll tell you then. But when you say check on your people, check on your people.
Yep.
Right? We've got friends. I guarantee you that of us, there is someone that we all know in common that's struggling.
Mm-hmm. It's
Right?
true.
I know that's not necessarily our topic tonight, but
No,
you said check on your people, and I wanted to.
Yeah.
I wanted to
But we talked about a lot of things that apply to not only just the topic of tonight, but life in general. And this is that.
That's anytime you spend time with me. That's
Yes.
what it's always going to be.
The life lessons that I took from full contact gunfighting. Let's just say I'm still shitty at underhooks. But like the other things that I learned sitting with you in the garage in early morning, just waiting for the rest of the class to arrive, that was the gold that hit the heart,
Yeah.
So with that, Aaron, is there anything that you're promoting, anything that people can find you? Do you have a website up and running anywhere, or
No, I have a feeling that will come soon, and you will let people know about it when it does.
we're going to work on that.
Aaron,
Gary and I,
your website is
Yeah.
and
I'll
you're
just make it for
training
you.
NPA on this date, and
Gary and I
what
have gone back and forth many a time over the last couple of years going, how do we get Aaron up here?
yes,
I would like to say is for anybody that's joined with us tonight or sees this later on, as we talk about these civil unrest issues, unfortunately, I do have a lot of experience in that world. And if you find yourself with questions that's affecting you personally and you're not sure how to handle it, reach out to me and we'll get you an answer.
Awesome.
Gary, how about you, sir? Where can people find your stuff?
Obviously, they should go to the #1 reference on the interwebs, bulletin.net. I'll probably be the very last one on the list. I don't know if
You are second to last.
second to last. I used to be last. I told everyone that was so that nobody thought you were playing favorites.
That does get thrown around sometimes.
If you in all the things on Bulletin, we'll send you to tremisdynamics.com, which is my regular website, which people tell me they can't navigate, and I'm going to blame that on my web guy being shitty. He's good looking and he's funny, but he's not very good at making websites.
I will say that, being very familiar with the Tremis Dynamics curriculums and classes available, there are a multitude of classes that really do touch on a lot of tonight's topics,
For sure.
especially like even things about general preparedness and how to utilize the tools that you have, and even some of the practical stuff of defense. So Gary's a great resource for that. And I can't recommend Tremis Dynamics more highly. So, well,
gentlemen, thank you very much for your time tonight. It has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for reaching out and asking me to do this.
No, thank you, sir. And I'm so happy that I took the leap of faith and said, hey, you know what? Let's see if we can get Aaron. Like,
I'm glad too, because I didn't have enough to fill.
Yeah, I feel like we would have had to do a lot more talking and bullshitting.
Yeah, who knows where it would have went. I
Lots of
assumed
bad jokes.
that once Mike said, "Hey, Aaron's in," I was either going to get the you can fuck off if you want now,
Well, I'm glad that didn't happen.
or he was going to say, "So this is the yin yang. I brought the angelic paladin over here from Kentucky, and you just be you." And then we'll have,
I was trying to hint at that earlier.
I like that. I'm okay with that.
Agent provocateur on call. No, well, thank you guys, and let's hope to keep this going in the future. And thank you again for coming out and chatting with us this evening.
Absolutely.
All right,
thank you guys.
Everybody listening, make sure you get out there and get some training and be prepared. Till next time.